Hey, welcome everybody. Man, I got a special guest here who I saw on LinkedIn and I reached out immediately and I said, "Hey, let's connect, Charles." So, Charles Thompson, a Bucknell graduate, a veteran of sales. He's a pickleball player, so we're going to get into that a little bit as well. But he's a dad, he's a Christian, and I'll tell you, he is a tremendous human. So I am looking forward to this conversation. Charles, how are you, man?
Hey Dave, hey, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show. Look forward to our chat.
Yeah, no, man. Like I am, like I tell everybody on this, and we were talking, previously. I can when I see folks that are, like to me interesting, right,
Mm,
and not for if people have been listening here a little bit. We don't really talk to sales A/B testing and what's popular and
mm,
stuff. We may get into it, but I love conversations
mm.
where I hear about people's backgrounds, I learn about kind of what makes them who they are, and I learn. And, I'll say it now, usually during the show, there's about like one or two really points where I just go, man, that's it. I'm writing that down. Right.
Yeah,
And my feeling
yeah.
today is that I'm going to have a lot of those. So
Huh,
I am over here kind of writing some stuff down, but I'm looking forward
yeah,
to it. But I'd love to jump in with you. Um,
let's do it.
you've been public on LinkedIn and putting yourself out there, and a lot of people do. But you went into some topics where, that a lot of people don't go. And, one being your upbringing with your mom,
Mm,
single mom, four, brothers and sisters, trying to work to put food on the table. And, I couldn't even imagine being her,
mm.
right? But I wanted to go in terms of that background and just understand a little bit, going back, like how that shaped you and kind of like what you learned or what you took away and kind of how you've come to use that over these years, man.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. My mom was a fantastic lady. She was very hard on me, and I, in a lot of ways, I didn't quite understand um why she was the way she was until I became a parent. And I was really hard on her, to be honest. I think that's like probably most of us as we become adults, we just become parents. We start to figure out, like, hey, like it was dang hard dealing with me and like yourself and also your siblings. But one of the things that I really like, I always remark that whenever I think about my mom, the core story I always think about is um, I was the second youngest, so for a while I was the youngest, and I kind of got babied a little bit. And I it was I'll never forget it. It was the last day for before spring break, so around this time, and my grades were pretty poor enough where I'm aware that I need to make sure I hide my report card from mom, so I can go have fun this week. And so, we at that time, you received your report card, and I hid that like in my stash. So no way she's getting that. And then the next day, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna enjoy spring break. But I found out, like many kids maybe, that they also send your report card home because there's little shady kids like myself who won't give their report cards to their parents. So at that point, I spent the entire spring break at home doing nothing, looking at the wall. And my mom just had one rule for me. She said, "Hey, you will not go see another friend until you go fix this." And that essentially was me going to talk to every single one of my teachers and just completing my finished homework. And that really taught me that, hey, like school is a system. If you follow the system, you will be successful. So for me, what that really looked like from middle school on was that if you did your homework from most of like high school, middle school, high school, even a little bit of college, if you did your homework, you got to be simple. It's just how it works. As you got to high school, college, maybe it was a little bit more of as you did your homework, you understood the material more. For me, like in high school and college, it was going to office hours. It was sitting in the first couple of rows. But there were some basic rules that she taught me that, hey, like if you want to be successful, it's just A plus B equals C. It's just simple as that. And so I learned really early on as a young kid, like I like to have fun. I like to be with my friends, and I would prefer not to have spring break where I go look at a wall. And that was enough of a stick for me to like change my trajectory. And the reason why I say that, just to give you context, I'm one of five, and I'm the first generation college graduate. I
Mhm.
was the youngest for a while. I have a younger brother. And most of my peers, most of my buddies I grew up with were in gangs, drugs in some capacity. And that was enough for my mom to have the wherewithal to say, "Hey, I'm not gonna let like you slip for whatever reason," because I know my siblings got away with a lot of stuff. I know I got away with a lot of stuff from time to time. That was enough for me to understand that, hey, if I do this, I'll be successful, and that just carry over for to a variety of different aspects of my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's now, like, where were you? Middle school here? We're talking like what, seventh, eighth grade kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. So I thought I was in middle school, but as I started thinking through, I was eight. I was second grade. So this was young.
You're
This was
second
young.
grade. Okay,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like you got taught that early,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
second grade. Okay, second grade is like, hey, man, I don't even know what you study in second grade anymore. Like you
yeah,
would know. You got
yeah.
five. Is it five kids you have?
I have five kids. Yes.
Man, that's crazy. That
Yeah.
is.
I
I
always
have
tell people,
two.
Dave, like I.
I barely got through with two, right? Thankfully, my wife like took care of like raising. I was kind of I was the helper, but no, she used to want. But man, so second grade, you had that lesson
Mhm.
and it really stuck with you throughout. Now, you went to Bucknell,
Yeah.
correct? I
Yep.
mean, not an easy school to get into, right? I mean,
Right.
obviously
Right.
now, I mean, do you look back and say, hey, that moment put me into a different path in terms of, where your friends were? I mean, Bucknell's I mean, I'm not getting into Bucknell,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, that's a huge pivot, right?
Right.
In
Right.
terms of, what she did for you in terms of that moment, man. You think that was it? You think that moment
I
was
100%. I always say it's a core memory, a core moment. Not that I realized that at the moment, but it really just put me on a different path because I just realized that school is simple, right? Like that's why a lot of brilliant people fail at school because they don't want to play the game. But
yeah,
it really is a game. Like if you do your homework for most of school, which oftentimes it has a correlation. If you do your homework, you probably know the material, so
yeah,
you
yeah,
probably perform better on the test.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
really a game,
Where
right?
did
If you
you
can play the rules, you'll be fine.
I want to go back to kind of like what you said with growing up with your buddies, if I can. Where did you grow up at?
So I grew up in San Diego, which is funny because when I went to Bucknell, all my football buddies were like, "Hey, like you probably had a butler, you probably had it really good." They would always make fun of me. It was
California
always
guy
funny.
coming in here,
Yeah,
man.
always. It was always hilarious. So, but I grew up in an area called Southeast San Diego. So, most of my brothers and cousins were in gangs. So I would say if I wanted to as a kid, it would have been really easy for me to be in gangs from a young age. And it was very easy for me to get access to drugs from a very young age. So until 8 years old, I was in a pretty rough neighborhood where it was like gang violence, stuff like that. And when I moved at 8 years old, we moved into a less rough area, still rough, but like it wasn't gang affiliated to every shape and form. But I would just give you context of like I remember coming home one day and I'm like, I don't know, like 9 or 10, and there's a guy like doing tattoos for anyone in the house. And my mom's like, "Hey, like, do you want a tattoo?" And I'm like, "What? I'm gonna get like Ninja Turtles? Like, what am I gonna get on myself at that day?" But that was just the environment that I was in. So it was just whatever like normal common sense kind of stuff that you just wouldn't think would happen.
Yeah,
Like that was the
that's
environment. So I had access to that. I was a pretty unique spot. I'll say this like one of the things that really kept me out was I played football, and I kid you not, I told myself around that age, 8, 9, 10, hey, I can't do drugs or being in gangs because I'm going to be in the NFL. That was just like something that somehow I communicated with myself that that's what I was going to do. And I think that was the moment where like God like just like kept me out of trouble because
yeah.
as I look at every age, I had coaches probably a little bit for their self-interest, look out for me just because I was a little bit better kid, blah blah. Teachers that would just from time to time just say, stop being a knucklehead. That maybe some of my peers didn't have, maybe because they weren't as good or weren't as fortunate or what have you. But I can think from every age group that I had different coaches or teachers that really were just there to say, "Hey, Charles, you're being an idiot," or "Hey, Charles, let me take you out to lunch and let's keep you out of trouble, whether you're just not idle doing dumb things that most kids
Yeah.
do when they're bored." So
Yeah.
so those are some big ones for me.
That's man. I didn't, I didn't grow up in that, and just hearing you talk about it, it just, I don't know, I can't wrap my head around it,
Mm,
right? Like it's hard for me to understand it, and it, it's, I mean, it's scary, and I feel that I wish there wasn't there, and I know
mm,
it's currently there in some locations, and I feel bad.
right,
I feel bad for that. I feel bad for the 8-year-old kid that's there now. Like
right,
that's where my
right,
head went, right?
right, right.
But now you said something there, and the other part of this that I said in the beginning, you're a dad of five, which is
Mm,
the basketball team you're going to run out there and
like,
go,
right.
but the the Christian.
Mm,
And your faith has been very big on LinkedIn, which I found
mm,
refreshing and great,
mm,
being a Christian myself.
mm.
When did that come into your life? Like, when did
Yeah.
that, were you on the same kind of journey there with, stay out of trouble and do that? Or did that come at a later, point in time for you?
Yeah, and before that, I want to answer on a point that you said that like feeling bad for the 8-year-old kid. I think um, it's I won't wish my background on anyone, but like I am thankful for
Yeah.
it because there's just a lot of things that I have that I would not have had otherwise. And I even and this is it'll sound a little bit bad, but I even from time to time envy it for my kids because there's a certain softness
Yes.
that they
Yeah.
just get
I'm with you.
by just having more things with them. And I don't know, again, like it sounds weird saying it because I don't want them to have hardship, but I want them to
Sure.
understand um like being grateful and being resilient and having grit. And some of those things
Yep.
just cannot be grasped unless you go through tough stuff.
And
So
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I I I think about that as a dad myself, right? Like, hey, my kids are ready to go into the world, right?
Mm,
I mean, ready to go into the world. They're in the world, right?
right.
They're in school. They're 2 years away from both being gone, and I'm pretty sure my daughter just may move to San Diego and be gone, and my son will be, be somewhere around here, right? It's just the
Mhm,
personality of, maybe. But from that standpoint, though, I do look at that, and I do think that myself too. Of, hey, did I do a good enough job
mm,
raising them to the point of when they can go through hard times?
right.
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 And that's just, I don't know, man. That's something that I've always thought about. And I think you bringing that up, you're right. Like, you don't
Mm,
wish for people to kind of be in an environment where you have some destructive forces around you of drugs and gangs and stuff.
right. Right.
But you got through it,
Right.
and you look back on it and say, man, if I can get through that, I can get through X. You, you
100%.
know? Yeah.
100%. Which
Yeah.
which is why, like, we're not talking about sales a lot, but like, what is a someone hanging up on me when my
I
background?
don't
Like to me,
care.
like this is easy. Like
I don't,
like
I
I,
could
I
care
get to call
less.
people for a living.
Right. I
Like
could
I
care
don't have to put on
less.
pants on, Dave. Like this is great.
Seriously.
No, so all jokes aside, but I think that's I waffle between that of like, hey, like what does that look like, and how do we artificially put those struggles around our kids so they can grow into the right men and women that we would like them to be. And I think Malcolm Gladwell talks a little bit about that with outliers.
Yeah.
And it's the age old kind of concept with a king raising a prince. And like, hey, like, do you raise them in softness? Do you raise them in hardship? And like, it's things that people have thought about forever because there is just a natural, for again, a lack of a better word, softness that is being raised when you're raised with you don't have much want, you don't have need for much, and when you don't have need for much, it's tough to have a gritty personality that's super grateful for any piece that they ever get because they know how hard it was to attain it. It's
Yeah.
just tough.
Yeah.
But I won't tangent too much on that. I'll ask you your initial question
Yeah.
about being a Christian.
Yeah.
Always raised in a Christian home, but I'll dub us as Creasters. You probably heard the name, Dave. Went to church on Christmas and Easter. Always took fun pictures. That was always good. I'll also be funny a little bit here, Dave. Most Black people I know are Christians in some capacity. We are really religious people in general, but my faith wasn't really a part of my life growing up. But we always prayed. We always thought about God. It was just that was a part of it was like cultural in a lot of
Hmm.
different ways.
Hmm.
Like I remember a couple of different things as a kid. Like I used to say this prayer. I was definitely afraid not to say it. I used to say this prayer. Now lay me down to sleep. I pray, Lord, my soul to keep. If I should
Yeah.
die before I wake,
Oh,
I pray,
yeah.
Lord, my soul to take. Like I would
Yeah.
be definitely afraid. Like I would almost wake up in the middle of the night
All
if I
my
didn't
hands and
pray.
knees. My dad had
Yeah,
me hands and knees like next to the bed, right? I mean, I was the same way. I was like, dude, I better
yeah,
do this, or
yeah.
like bad stuff's gonna happen, right?
Yeah,
No, I'm with you.
it's not gonna go well. So I remember that as a kid. I also remember as a kid thinking through like, hey, like if God knows everything, I'm walking home from school, 10 years old. If God knows everything, I'm gonna try to outwit God. So I'm gonna walk home backwards. I'm gonna try to not step on a crack. I'm gonna try to do all these things. I'm just thinking through like, okay, well,
Yeah,
if he
yeah,
knows everything, well,
yeah,
can I outwit God?
yeah.
So that was a little bit of just my childhood, but it wasn't until I went to high school where I had some people really challenging me on my faith, and it's really challenged me on what that looked like, where I actually understood what it means to have a relationship with Christ, to follow Him, and what I would just always tell people, I tell my kids, I tell anyone who is thinking about like, am I a Christian? I always dumb it down for in the basic ways, like, hey, to be a believer is to be someone who has a relationship with Jesus Christ and has a healthy fear of God. And when I tell my kids, what does it mean to have a fear of God? That just means that he has your ear, meaning that like when God says something, you respond
Mhm.
to it. And the way that I tell them, I was like, hey, like most people
Mhm.
respond to certain people in their life. That means when they speak, they listen. That may not be everyone for you, but everyone has someone like that.
Mhm.
For the Christian, that's God. When God speaks, he has your ear.
Yeah.
When he says to do something, you listen to him. Doesn't mean you're always perfect. Doesn't mean you always do what it's saying, but he has your ear. And I think that's like a healthy fear. It's not like this, like, like trembling and, knees are weak. It's just like, hey, he has your ear. And I think that's like where a lot of people are struggling, and like even the idea of Christendom is that, hey, like
Mhm.
does God have your ear? And
Mhm.
I think I even struggle with that. Like, hey, like what I
Sure.
would like to do is like what Charles likes to do, or what my checkbook wants to do, or what the world wants me to do. And like, hey, like God has my ear. So that's and that happened to me like around high school
Hmm.
era, so about 17-ish, or right
Hmm.
before I went into college. I
Hmm.
happened to go to like a local private school where I got around some teachers and coaches who really looked out for me. My story is, again, not to be too tangential, but a lot like The Blind Side. So I lived with one of my coaches for a bit,
Really?
and still to this day, similar to like The Blind Side, like Shannon, one of the coach's wife, like she'll come over, watch the kiddos, hang out,
Wow.
check in, that kind of stuff. So
You know,
she it was a fun story.
I mean, there's that moment.
Yeah.
Do you how influential was those people in your
Yeah.
life, right? Again, okay, mom has you in second grade and says, "Hey,
Mm,
man, let's get our stuff straight here." And
right.
it's a typical mom moment, but you know what?
Yeah.
She did it in a way that got your attention. That's all that counts,
Right. Right.
right? This person, where you came in and lived with that person, who then launches you off to Bucknell, where you go play football, by the way, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
what position did you play at Bucknell?
I play running back.
Yeah, I knew that. It's not a doubt in my mind. You're not a defensive guy. There's no way. There's no way, right?
Yeah.
So the I mean, how influential is that person in your life when you look back and say, man, yeah, at that point of time, I can go to college, maybe I do something. But you go to a prestigious school, you get your head
Mm,
on right, and now you're into your career and you're into your family
mm,
life and
right.
everything else. And I want to, transition. That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
The the transition though, you go into sales,
Mhm,
you have your piece,
mm,
and then you go into, hey, you're a founding AE if I'm not mistaken,
yeah.
right? Your gut begins to tell you, hey, maybe, we've all been there. Our gut is talking to us, maybe even God talking to your ear a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Then all of a sudden, hey, man, one day you wake up to that email and you don't have a job anymore,
Yeah.
and you posted, yeah, but my
Yeah.
son has flag football practice today, right? And you
Yeah.
were coaching, correct?
I am. Yeah.
And you know, I guess your wife's out there taking some pics and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it was me, I'd be calling my assistant coach going, "Hey man, like I need today. I need one day.
Yeah.
Give me 24
Yeah.
hours of that." But you
Yeah.
went and
Yeah.
you said, "Hey man, these kids are celebrating and they don't care that dad, like it's their time and they need me to be dad and not Charles, the,
Right.
sales professional." And
Yeah.
and that's what got me to it was that post
Mm,
I read that really said, "Hey, I got to talk to. I mean, we
yeah.
got to talk,
Yeah.
right?" Because I
Yeah. I
found
love
that
that.
so I don't know if it's liberating or
Mm,
just real
yeah.
that that's kind of how it works, man. So talk me through that. How did that being let go, still having to be the dad, how did that, impact? I mean, that was the first time that's ever happened, and I know
Yeah.
you were pretty transparent about that on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and social. Like, talk to me about
Yeah.
that, man.
Yeah. And so I just like a note. I have the habit of being overly transparent. I'm probably an oversharer in
Sure,
general. A
sure.
part of that is on purpose because I just think, just like the Pink's book, like sales is human. So I try to be as transparent as I can. And as a believer, I truly do believe this is going to be tangential, but stay with me. I truly believe that um, the whole idea of humans all having inherent worth is this idea of we all have value, and I think that usually when we don't treat people with value is that we assume that they're no longer human, so we denigrate them. So if you think about any kind of human history where
Mhm.
people groups were oppressed,
Yeah,
is because they were no longer treated as human.
yeah,
That's really morbid. But if you think about anytime you're frustrated with the sales rep, the flight attendant, whatever, you're forgetting that's a mom, that's a dad, that's
yeah,
a sister, that's a brother, that's a son.
yeah,
You just forget about that.
yeah.
And so the more I show up as human, hopefully I'm not this like faceless person, salesperson that you're reaching out to.
There you
Like I
go.
actually feel like I got guts and a soul to individuals. And I feel like what that usually does is it engenders positive reactions and
Hmm.
responses to people,
Yep,
in whatever ways that shows up, like because you
yep,
just never know. You just never know like what that's going to look like, and so that's
yep.
a part of just like my thought process, and it goes back to the idea of I always have this kind of imagery in my head of someone going to the office and they got a Dallas Cowboy football in like a glass box or a bass fish in the back of the wall, and instant rapport is built
Sure.
there. And I think, and that's that same concept and strategy, like what I think about LinkedIn. Like you are building rapport
Yep,
instantly with people. So, which you're probably already aware of, but that's why I think like that. That's why I share.
yeah.
But sometimes people are probably like, "Hey, this is probably too much, probably too little." But that's my thought
I
process there.
No, I think it's great. Look, I've
Yeah,
gone through your stuff and I've gone back, numerous months and numerous
yeah,
months. And,
yeah,
like in doing my prep for the show, for some people, I have to go back 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year to kind of understand what I want to talk about. And I think I went back like 90 days on yours. I was like, good enough. I was like, I
yeah,
got it, right? Like
yeah,
there's so
yeah.
much. And I'm sure I could have gone 4, 5, and 6 and gone in a whole different lane.
Right.
But for me, look, I think there's a lot of people who struggle at times with a lot of different things, right? Um, and career-wise, and then you have to kind of figure this thing out of how to deal with this. And oh, by the way, I'm still a husband, I'm still a wife, I'm still
Yeah.
a son, a daughter, and
Yeah.
how to put this in context. And it's not easy,
Right.
right? And it can kind of rattle. And I've been, I think from my standpoint, I think mental health back in the day was something literally we would laugh at. We would
Right.
literally laugh
100%.
at. If someone said I needed a
Right.
mental health day, you would literally laugh, right?
Right.
And
Right.
you're talking what, 10, maybe 15 years ago? That's probably close of
Right.
still being that. Now we
Right.
look at it and go, hey, I need to recharge after the quarter.
Right.
I'm going to have a day where I'm just taking off and just being with the fam, right?
Right.
It's it's entirely shifted, but
Right.
I do think that when people hit, it's important to put out there. And for someone like yourself who
Right.
has a following, and
Yeah.
people can look at it and say, "Hey, I'm not alone."
Yeah. I
Like
love that.
he's going through it. He made it to the other side. And by the way, you are officially off the market, man. You're now
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you got something coming, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Just signed the offer today. So
Yes,
more to
sir.
come, everyone. So by the time I imagine this episode comes out, the good deets will be out. So
Yes,
I'm
sir.
excited about it.
Yes, sir. I'm not pressing you.
Yeah.
I'm not breaking it like Adam Schefter, man. All right. I'm not
I
hopping
love
on
it.
Twitter right now or,
I love it. I love it. I
the
love it.
Instagram, but
Uh,
still, right? All right.
I
Well,
love
look,
it.
we're almost at 30. So let me have a little bit of at the
Yeah.
end,
Well,
anytime.
real quick,
Yes,
let
sir.
me ask the initial question
Please.
because I didn't answer it.
Please.
A part of like what like was going through my head about posting that and being available for my kids' practice was
Yeah.
like what fills my cup is that like what my greatest joy as a dad is to like give everything I can to my kiddos. And I think one of the best and easiest low hanging fruit for me is to be available for them coaching. And
Yep.
one of the most fun things like for me as a dad is to hear my son, my oldest 9 year old, who's like, hey, like he's told me like just past like last year, like I want to play tackle football. But his only request like you need a coach. And so to me, I was thinking, having second thoughts, like maybe I'm too hard on him. Maybe he needs a different like voice.
Yeah.
And so it's such a joy to hear my son say, "Hey, like my only stipulation here is that you're going to be coaching me in some shape or form. You need to be out there, Dad, to do that." So like for me, when I hear that news that, "Hey, Charles, we no longer need your services." Right? You're washed up. You're no longer there. Whatever it might be. All these kind of weird voices are going in your head like what actually fills me up is to go be with my kid and go coach him like that's fun for me that's what excites me so that was like that part like what I knew that hey like all he needs is dad to be dad and I'm completely content with stepping into that role and knowing that at the end of the day like nothing's changed those like every company like God bless them. Like they've never cared about me like my family did. Right. No matter how much they like, no matter how good or bad in between, it's just what it is. It's operational, it's numbers, it's are we in a red, are we in a green? Does it make sense? What do we need to do to keep the lights on? I am a number 99% of the time. No hard feelings for anyone else. But my kids, my family, like these are people who I will have relations forever right? These are the people that are going to count on me forever. And so what gets me out of the bed in the morning, my why is like pouring in my life or pouring my life out for them. So like when I think about football and flag football, I'm like, dude, like I get to go run around with some rowdy 9 year olds and go have fun. Like that's what excites me, especially because I get to go do it with my son and he'll remember this for the rest of his life. Right. He who cares? Like that dad might have been a little sullen that he lost his job. Like, dude, like we're sales. Like all we do is go get like I lost a sale, I go get another one, right? Like that is sales.
Mhm.
So like for me, like yeah, I was bummed out for the job, but like what I was more frustrated about, Dave, to be honest, was ignoring the red flags because I know better. I
Yeah.
know the game and I've taught the game enough
Yeah.
that I should have not have thought I was different. Like there was this enough leading indicators
Yeah.
that I should have been aware and I should have done my due diligence. And that's where I was most irritated,
Yeah.
that I drank the Kool-Aid a little bit too much. And I didn't understand like this game is um does not care about your feelings, does not care about who you are. It's just it's is what it is.
That's
No
fair.
hard feelings is what it is. But I'll stop there because I'll
No,
go all day.
look, man, man, I mean, I'll tell you, that's it, right? That's it. I hope people stay, if you're listening, heck, I'd rewind 2 minutes and listen to that again, right? Because I think that's what it comes down to. We can do great on President's Club. Doesn't mean, sorry, doesn't mean anything. Hey, come on. I
Hey,
try.
hey,
That was
hey,
good, wasn't it? Hold
hey.
on. That was good. It doesn't mean anything.
It's all the Philly come out a little bit.
I little it doesn't mean anything if you don't have that, support, behind you, right? It
Mm,
means zero,
mm,
right? So I am right there with you, man. That's so good. All right.
yeah.
I am getting to it now because I have stuff
No.
down. You're a 4.0 pickleball player, man, out there winning gold
Yeah.
medals. Is that true?
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
singles or a doubles guy?
So I actually love singles, but you can't get a lot of people who want to play singles, so I do doubles. So I've never played a tournament for singles, but for me, you can't beat the cardio. So I literally love pickleball for the cardio. You just get less in doubles. So but yeah, I just played a tournament this past week. We won 4-0 for doubles. And then I try to play 4-5 too. We got beat up a little bit. We got beat up
What's
a
your
little bit.
game, man? Are you more hands? You more power? Like, what's your game?
So again, coming from football, I'm a rah-rah guy. Like, so like think about what you're saying now, like this is time 10. So like I have to really calm myself down. I started off as like a banger. Like I want to hit as hard as I can. But you realize that these guys that come from tennis or racquetball have fantastic
Right,
hands, can
right.
reset all day, and you gotta slow it down. So I started off as a really like hit as hard as I can. And still my favorite shot is a slam overhead. I'm still like 6 years old in that capacity. That's still my favorite shot in the world. But I've learned to adapt to a more slower uh, pace game. My mother in law was watching pickleball the other day, or I was watching it, and she was watching it along with me. And she was like, "Why are they hitting it so soft? Like, why are they like?" Because they're in the kitchen or thinking, and she's looking at it and they're thinking for like 5 minutes. She's like, this doesn't seem like this is the most conducive way to play pickleball. But so I've learned to be a little bit more soft in my
I
game, but
can
it's tough.
I can see you on YouTube watching some Ben Johns out there, man. Just like
Yeah,
telling your kids, look what he did.
yeah, yeah,
There's no
yeah.
doubt you're doing
Oh,
that.
100%, one hundred
There's
percent. Like
no doubt.
I'm obsessed. My two oldest are playing right now. So my 9 and 7 year old are playing right now, and I was trying to get my 9 year old to play a tourney, his first tourney this at the end of this month, but he's probably not going to be ready yet. He just started kind of playing like 6 months ago, like hitting the ball, but he still doesn't know the rules yet, and I'm not sure if I want to throw him in the deep end yet. I don't want him to have a bad
Get some
experience.
guy like me. I'm like, I don't care, kid. Hey man, here it go. Hey, like I'm sorry. I'm calling foot faults.
Pegging him right in the chest.
Oh, right there. Hey man, get your hands going. Come on, learn hard. Hard.
Learn hard. I
Uh,
love it.
all right. So, Harry Potter,
Yeah.
right? Harry Potter. So, like, favorite movie? Like, I mean, you're a huge fan. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not bringing
Yeah. Yeah.
Harry
Yeah. Yeah.
Potter up for no
Yeah.
reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're one of those like you love it,
I,
right?
I I'm a nerd. Like I'm a
Okay.
nerd.
Okay.
So my son literally, and this is how nerd I am. Like we just bought the books for my 9 year old. He just
Okay.
like powered through Chamber of Secrets, like our Philosopher's Stone, just like he in 2 days. Like so, parents out there, do not fear if your kid does not want to read. Because a year ago, my son did not want to read. He just powered through like Philosopher's Stone like in 3 days.
Amazing.
So it's killing it. My favorite movie is probably Deathly Hollows. And again, because I'm a book purist, I like Deathly Hollows because it's a part one and two,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's the most accurate to the book. My favorite book, if I had to pick, would probably be Prisoner of Azkaban or Half Blood Prince. Like it kind of like vacillates, but Dave, like everyone out there, I listen to Harry Potter books I kid you not, probably once a year.
You
Like I
listen
don't,
to
re-
them,
I
you
don't,
said.
yeah, I don't usually read
You just put
them
it
just
on when
because.
you're just put it on when you're just rolling,
Right,
whatever.
right. So if you guys like to read or like to listen, I used to
Sure.
be an Audible guy, but I would have those seasons like most of us where I'm crushing books and I'm crushing credits and I have no credit for the month, or I have like 6 credits flying up. So there's an app called Libby. Us
Yeah,
homeschool kids kind of get it where you say if you have a local library card, you can rent any audiobooks for
sure.
free in that way. So like if you like to listen to stuff, I'm pretty much extremely curious. So I like to listen to a bunch of different stuff. But when I'm mentally lazy and I want some more like entertainment, like those are the Harry Potters, like stuff of the world is what I want to listen to. And that's kind of fun. But I usually read with my kids on a daily basis. So like there'll be like a Lord of the Rings, Harry
I
Potter,
was just gonna go. I know you're into the loaded. I
Tur-
mean, no, no,
Narnia, something
hey,
like that.
God, you're right there, man. Heck, you're right there with
Yeah,
me. So I'll leave you with this
yeah,
final question. What house of hype of like what's the hat? What's the hat saying that
yeah,
like
yeah.
what house are you in,
Harry
man?
Potter. So my wife makes fun of me all the time because
Well, I mean
I
that's what
I,
why I mean that's what I mean, come on,
I
you're you know.
100%. But it's specifically to this question because I insist that I am Gryffindor, but then we have different interactions throughout our life that talk about like, hey, if there's something crazy going on, I'm not going out there to save him, which tells her that I'm Slytherin. So if you watch Harry Potter, Slytherin is like the wise guys. Usually they're like, hey,
Yeah,
if you look at Gryffindor is usually going out into the woods when it's not safe.
right.
It's probably a bad idea. They're brave for no real reason. And Slytherin is always pretty wise in the sense of like, hey, I'm probably not going to go risk my skin if I don't need to. So
Yeah.
my wife is like, you think you're Gryffindor, but you're probably Slytherin. And I'm like, you're probably right. Except for everyone in Slytherin is a bad guy. So I can't, in good conscience, say I'm Slytherin. But her and I have been debating this for
That's
some time because
well,
she's
look,
like, Gryffindors are brave.
I have 26 years of being made fun of by my wife and like all warranted, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you know, from me trying to fix something, that's almost comical. I always say I can fix the air filter and I can probably change the battery in the fire alarm, right? That's about the extent of my ability.
I
So
love
she
it.
gets
I
a
love it.
anything else is probably ER visit, potential,
I
so I
love
don't
it.
do it. But look, man,
See,
like
I
you
love it.
did not. I came on with high expectations. I really did, and I thought that we'd have one of those conversations that I remember. And be quite honest with you, man, it blew past my expectations, and I really value what you shared. I always listen to it back. Like tomorrow, I'll listen to it back and kind of get some stuff that I want to edit. I think this is one of those shows that I'm going to listen back to more than once. So thank you for that, man. And
Yeah,
I have this. I truly hope we stay connected on this,
yeah.
man, because I think you're tremendous, and there's a lot of topics we could have covered, but I think you hit on some phenomenal stuff, and you can go off and tell your wife and kids, man, that hey, man, you did pretty good today, man. You really good conversation, Charles. So
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking some time. It was super
yeah,
fun.
awesome. All right, everybody, that's it. We're gonna come back now that life has slowed down a little bit. I promise we're gonna talk to some more folks. So thank you for being with us, man. Have a great day, guys. Take care.